everybody. Pat Foley and Dale Talon from what looks to be a near-capacity crowd here in the Met Center. And the Blackhawks trying to push the Minnesota North Stars over the brink as Chicago takes a 3-2 lead in this series. I'm sure both coaches would like to know which of their teams is going to show up tonight. We've had the last two games, two very different storylines. In Game 4 here, Chicago was dominated by Minnesota, and in Game 5, the Hawks went back home and dominated the North Stars. I'm sure both coaches are hoping their teams can show up with some consistency tonight. You have to expect you're going to get that from Minnesota.
Well, I expect this will be the best game of the series. Each team has been inconsistent. One team plays poorly, the other team plays well. This game is so important for the Blackhawks because they don't want to have it go to Game 7. Anything can happen in a sudden death situation. The North Stars, on the other hand, need to win to continue to a Game 7. So I expect the first period to really set the tone. I think both teams will be ready. Both teams will play their best hockey.
There's not only hockey in this series being talked about here in this town. Of course, the proposed sale and potential move of this franchise has been in the headlines, and the team president of the North Stars, Lou Nanne, had this response.
Well, both of our owners, George and Gordon Gunn, as well as Howard Baldwin, the potential purchaser, have said that there is no deal made yet. Each of them is quite confident that they're proceeding and will be successful, but at this time, nothing has been consummated.
We kind of wondered out loud earlier this series, might this be the last time we see NHL hockey here in the Met Center? I think that would be a long shot. I think somehow there's going to be a team here next year.
Well, we're starting to get some positive feedback that the team will stay here under a new owner, and that's news, because this is a great hockey state, a great franchise when it was winning, and I think they're back on the right track. Ferreira and Paget have done excellent jobs here. Will they stay here with the new owners? Who knows? But I would say that there is a good chance there'll be hockey here in Minnesota in the National Hockey League, and I'm all for it.
All right, now for Game 6. The Blackhawks with a 3-2 lead in the series, and the North Stars fighting to stay alive. When you're trying to do that, you need big games from your best players, and Dave Gagne is one guy. Goals have been hard to come by in this series for everybody, but Gagne, one of the fellas that's been struggling a bit.
Paget has been vocal in the media about Gagne. He said he's played one good game in the previous 5. They need to have a good performance from him. Neal Broten has been very consistent, but Gagne has been, as Paget said, one game is not good enough. And Broten, who's been their most consistent, really has done a great job killing penalties. He's played the point on the power play, and he's been terrific at even strength. So you can't criticize Broten's play, but the North Stars are looking to get some help from other players, especially up the middle.
Meanwhile, the Blackhawks are looking to get more help from Michel Goulet, who, after being scratched for 3 straight, the first time in his career that he sat out without an injury, he came up big in Game 5, and the Hawks are hoping for more tonight.
Well, he played with Savard and Larmer, and the line was magnificent in Game 5. He sat out 3 games, as you said. He came out of the gate storming, had a terrific start, killing penalties, played a lot of ice, got a lot of ice time, and really felt confident, because the more he plays, the better he feels, and he felt that Keenan showed a lot of confidence in him, so he had an outstanding night. Meanwhile, 2 guys that are playing great hockey. Keith Brown carries over from a great regular season, his best ever. Meanwhile, Trent Yawney had a subpar regular season, finished strongly, but has had a great playoff. The last 2 games, Trent Yawney's been as good as anybody on the blue line.
Well, Dale thought this could well be a great game, and he has reason to think so. Goals have been so tough to come by. In 5 games, Chicago has only scored 13 goals. Minnesota's only scored 11. The leading scorers in this series have a meager 5 points in 5 games. It's likely to be close. It's sure to be intense, and we'll get ready for Game 6 when we come back right after this timeout.
Sports Channel's coverage of the Chicago Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup playoffs is brought to you in part by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you it makes good sense to drink responsibly. Know when to say when. By your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Toyota dealers. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By the Discover card. It pays to discover, the card that pays you back. And by True Value Hardware. Make True Value Hardware your store of first choice.
The Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota North Stars ready for Game 6 of this Norris Division semifinal series. Another reason that the Blackhawks would like to finish it off tonight, if possible, of course, is the fact that St. Louis is sitting by and waiting and resting and recuperating, recovering from any injuries they might have accumulated in that opening series victory against Toronto. So the Hawks trying to do the themselves a favor, but at times their history has been that it's been difficult to make things easy for themselves. Greg Millen will need to come up big, probably in particular here in the first period, because the North Stars have a history of coming out on fire here at home, and you have to expect that they'll be jumping tonight at the outset.
Well, Millen has had a good series. It's been a bit of a controversial series for Millen. Been pulled twice. Once down 3-0 and once down 2-0 the last game in here.
The players just about ready to go, but before we get started, let's enjoy the anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the brave and the home of the
It certainly appears that every seat has been sold here in the Met Center. The other night for Game 5 in Chicago, we were told there were 5,000 seats available, but they have been gobbled up.
Greg Millen started every game in this series. 2.66 average, 2 wins, 2 losses, 8-4 lifetime in playoff competition against the North Stars. John Casey, his 6th appearance, 2.1 goals against average, 2 wins and 3 losses.
Gary Frazier is the referee tonight. The linesman, veteran Gerard Gauthier and Bob Hodges. Here we go now as the draw is taken by Manson. Wearing it to center. Big hit delivered by Giles. Now a little pushing and shoving, and at the 11-second mark, a little problem developed. Giles trying to keep the puck in against Presley, who just let it slide free to center. Giles trying to keep it in the zone, failed to do so, but collided heavily with Presley, and a couple of the Chicago players taking exception to that. So far, no punching done, but there has been a confrontation.
Well, you look at the starting lineups, you figure, well, these teams mean business. They want to play hockey. Normally in this series, both teams have started their so-called tough guys. Giles with a hard hit, a clean hit, and everyone coming around. A lot of pushing and shoving, and that's been the nature of the series. The series has been like that almost constantly, pushing and shoving after every hit or after every whistle. There was nothing wrong with that hit. It was an absolute clean, solid hit.
Meanwhile, Barber and Gilbert will get offsetting penalties at the 11-second mark. Here's the draw. Giles bangs it in. Manson behind the net. Dave Manson got help from Creighton to work his way to center. Manson with a long shot sailing wide of the net. On the far side, here's Gagne clearing to center ice. Presley throwing it right back in. Kurt Giles, two-time All-American at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Giles cleared it to Bellows, who's passed to Flex, and Manson banks it to the center area. Thomas got rubbed off as he came over the line, and it results in an offside call against Chicago.
Steve Thomas with 21 shots on goal. 2 goals, coming off a great regular season with 40-plus goals. Hawks with a little more depth offensively than the North Stars. But neither team has really been red hot offensively. The Hawks twice in the series have scored 5 goals. But only 13 goals for Chicago and only 11 for the North Stars in 5 games.
Now Savard, Larmer, and Goulet out there for Chicago. Neal Broten with younger brother Aaron on the left side, and Stuart Gavin is on right wing here for the North Stars. There's the draw taken by John Chambers. Chambers slipping it into the Blackhawks zone. Aaron Broten will get there in the near corner. Trent Yanni stepped into him there. Now 4 players dueling along the boards. Nobody can jam it loose yet. And finally, Kerry Fraser will sound the whistle. So they'll get ready to the left of Greg Millen, making his 51st career playoff appearance. Millen with a career playoff record of 23 and 25 and a goals against of 3 1/4 in postseason play. Savard and Neal Broten ready. Savard with 5 points leads the Hawks scoring list in this series. Brian Bellows with 5 points leads the Minnesota scoring list. Here's Goulet on the left side, room to center, beating Savard, and he's forced to dump it in. John Chambers tries to start the North Stars back. His feed broken up by Goulet, then trickled loose to Gavin. Stuart Gavin to Neal Broten over the Hawk line. His pass deflecting, and Brown picks it up for Chicago. Puts it around the boards. Manson for Goulet. He failed to clear it. Neal Broten at the near point. Up the boards to Gavin in the corner. Manson took him off the play. Now Aaron Broten dug it out in behind the net. Broten hanging on to it. Centered one. Didn't connect it. Now Broten got it again, shooting. Aaron Broten shot a backhander wide, and now Larmer able to clear it back the other way, and the Blackhawks will accept an icing call here. 2 minutes gone in the first period. There is no score. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
It's Old Thunder.
Okay, look at that. I knew Old Thunder would win the race.
Well, that's the fun of it, guessing who will win. See those cameras up there?
Yeah?
People can watch the race on TV, maybe in a nice restaurant, and play a hunch.
You mean they didn't know Old Thunder was going to win the race?
Heck no, they played a hunch.
Not me. I knew Old Thunder was going to win that race.
It was a hunch.
Huh?
Oh, nothing. So, who do you like in the 4th race?
First sustained pressure of the first period. The North Stars with some good work from Aaron Broten in the corner. But the shot went wide and the face-off in the zone. And now Yanni and McRae.
They moved before the puck was dropped for the face-off, and Kerry Fraser is going to have them both cool off here. They jumped the gun on the face-off and then pushed and shoved back and forth. So McRae heads off.
Well, only one penalty called, and that's on McRae. And Fraser, I guess the situation, Yanni got the glove in his face as well, so I thought that would be offsetting penalties, but I think reputation might have something to do with that. Kerry Fraser sends McRae off, and the Blackhawks get the first power play.
Well, that looked like a big break for Chicago there. I thought surely it was going to be coincidental, but Basil McRae is given the only penalty. And when you talk about reputation, sometimes it does precede you, and officials will pay a little bit closer attention. And if you want a second opinion, ask Dave Manson.
The Blackhawks power play has not been a positive for them in the playoffs. 5 for 37, 13.5%.
Neither power play has been very good in this series. Here's the draw, and Doug Wilson now Now starts out of his own end. Wilson bangs it in. Casey left it for Tenorti. He's got time, and he clears. Well, the other night, the Hawks were very good at their dump-ins and not letting John Casey handle the puck. If he does, they're usually chasing it back the other way, so they'll have to try to get their dump-ins to the corners and not let Casey handle it, because normally when he has handled it, there's been trouble for Chicago. Here's Larmer into the far corner. Swung it around the board. On the near point, Wilson up the boards to Savard. He's bumped by Chambers, then Wilson held it in. Back to Savard. Savard walks out to the line, then slipped it to Goulet, trying to center it. Bounce to Yanni. Shoot! What a save by Casey! Great save by John Casey, and the North Stars ice it. The Hawks had two men in the slot, and Larmer tipped it back to Yanni, who was all alone and had Casey to himself. But John Casey with the game's first big stop. Here's Presley over the North Star line. Trying to center it. Clears over the far corner. Thomas. Bumped there by Giles, who steals and clears. Half a minute for the Chicago power play. Manson dumping it in. Casey back there to leave it for Giles. Clears it around the boards and not out. Presley held it in. Moving in, put it to Manson at the near point, shooting, and Casey stops it. Rebound, Presley. Out to the line, Manson. Walks into the deep, then scooped it to Presley, top of the ring. Trying to center one, it didn't get through Giles. Now stolen away by the North Stars, and Duchesne clears it down all the way. The penalty is over, and both teams are back at full strength. Now Adam Creighton got around Madonna in over the line. Moving in on Murphy, the corner, centered one, and the goal knocked loose as four players went crashing in, and we get a whistle. Just over 4 minutes expired in the first period. Hawks nothing, North Stars nothing. It's the Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. The one and only. Nothing beats it. The clean, the crisp, the cold. The king of beers. Nothing beats the Bud. Nothing beats the king of beers. Nothing beats Budweiser. Nothing beats the Bud.
First good chance of the period. The first chance on the power play for the Blackhawks. Savard behind the back pass to Goulet. Goulet passes it, misses Larmer, but it deflects right to Trent Yanni. Yanni tries to go high to the stick side. Casey, good reaction, and deflects it away to Gavin. Well, big save for Casey on the power play.
Troy Murray now with Creighton and Gilbert for Chicago. Madonna, Dahlin, and Berezan for Minnesota. Here's the draw. And it's cleared back to the Chicago end. Steve Conroy has to scurry back for it. Now Millen's going to play it. Around the boards for McGill. His clearing attempt held in by Berezan. Got it to the far corner, but McGill there tries the near side, and Gilbert. Greg Gilbert calmly avoiding a check, able to push it back into the Minnesota end. Larry Murphy corrals it for the North Stars. Goes up the middle to Madonna. Mike Madonna 3-on-3 and over the Hawk line, dropped it to Berezan. He failed to hold it. Now rolling in front, quick shot, Millen the save, and the goal knocked off as a North Star player, Dahlin, went bumping into Millen. He then fell back into the net and knocked it loose. But a curious type rush. It looked harmless for the longest while. All of a sudden the puck right on the doorstep.
Well, Madonna's pass to Berezan. Berezan loses it. It's in the feet of Conroy. He loses it. And a turnaround shot from Berezan. Millen made the save, and then Dahlin goes crashing into the net. The Blackhawks feel that Greg Millen's probably the best they've seen at making it look like an accident. And good movement there by Millen, making it appear like he was pushed in by Dahlin. And the Blackhawks noticed that last year when they played against the Blues in the regular season and in the playoffs. They said that Millen was really very, very talented at acting and making that net come off under pressure, making it look like it was someone else's fault other than his own.
Now here's the draw. Taken by Gilbert. Beating Creighton at center, 2-on-2 to the line. He sends one behind the North Star net. Casey around the boards. Berezan got it loose to Madonna, who cleared it to center ice. Harry Berezan bounces one into the Chicago zone. Manson there to Troy Murray. Murray flipping it into the North Star zone. He had not reached center ice, however, and the icing call is made. It is still scoreless as we pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Imagine if you could fly.
Okay.
Imagine you could get past any obstacle in your way.
All right.
Imagine being able to move with the confidence that no matter where it is you have to go, you're going to get there.
Chet, I don't have to imagine these things. I can do them.
The question on all of our minds, how?
Easy. I own a Chevy Blazer.
The Chevy Blazer.
Imagine that.
Now Savard and Neal Broten to the right of Millen will square him up. Here's the draw to Giles, whose long shot deflected into the crowd. And there's one of the little things that Steve Larmer does that often goes unnoticed. The North Stars win a draw cleanly, a chance to tee it up, but Larmer got to his assignment. And as a result, Giles' shot went nowhere but into the crowd.
Well, Larmer can read so well. He sees all of the ice. He understands the game probably as well as anybody on the team. Probably as well as anybody on the ice, period. He is an intelligent player, but Keenan didn't like that setup on the face-off. Savard was upset with himself for losing the draw. Page trying to match up the Broten brothers and Gavin against the Savard line. Oh, Keenan pulls his line off. Page does the same and brings out Gagne.
Oh, Gagne and Troy Murray. Adam Creighton early in this game playing the right side here with Murray and Gilbert. Gagne, Barber, and Bellows for the North Stars. Now shot into the Minnesota zone. Gilbert on the left side against Wilkinson to the corner. Rolled it loose behind the net. Gagne there. He digs it out, and Bellows failed to get it out. Stolen to Creighton. Creighton on the far side. Put it to Gilbert. Now through to Troy Murray, and as he cut for the net, Don Barber, a nice poke check, knocked it off his stick. Now Gagne flipping it into the Blackhawks zone, taken by Manson. Around the boards to Troy Murray, who deflects it to center ice. Billy Siren for Minnesota. His pass is broken up and winds up back in the North Star end. Siren will play it again. Siren gave it to Murphy. His clear effort deflecting and held in by Savard on the near side. Dennis Savard into the deep slot, trying to center it. It was behind Larmer, though. He chases to the near board, got knocked down there by Murphy, and Larry Murphy wins the puck, bouncing it back to the center ice area. Trent Yanni gave it to Larmer, putting Savard over the line. Savard crisscrossing into the slot on his backhand. Now the turnaround shot. Gavin blocked it. Rebound, Aaron Broten. Broten rolled it to center. Here's Gavin over the Hawk line to the near corner. Doug Wilson bounced it loose to Goulet, and he rolled it to the neutral area. Mark Tenorti leads the North Stars back into the Hawk zone. There's going to be a penalty off the play. Aaron Broten got tangled with Trent Yanni, and it appears the North Stars will be shorthanded again. The Hawks will be trying to break a scoreless tie after we pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
True Value hardware stores can change the look of your home with just a change of color. Choose from beautiful designer colors with True Test quality-proven Easy Care flat finish. And no matter what color you choose, this spatter-resistant finish will stay beautiful for years. So look at your color options and give any room a brand new look with True Test Easy Care flat finish, specially priced at just $10.98 a gallon at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Aaron Broten for interference. He knocks down Trent Yanni at the blue line, trying to set a pick. Kicks the feet from under him. And Fraser put the arm up. Second straight power play opportunity for the Blackhawks. An interference call at 7:06 of the first period.
That'll be Roenick out there in the power play for Chicago with Thomas and Presley. Brown and Manson, the point men, to start it off. Ryan Bellows in a penalty-killing role for the North Stars. I don't believe that's happened before in this series. He's on with Duchesne. Now here comes Thomas to center. Gave it to Roenick, who dumps it in. Casey will handle this one, put it around the boards. Duchesne rolled it out to center ice. Now here's Roenick into the North Star zone. Side of that to Presley. The return pass didn't click. And Brown has to chase back for it. Hawks trying to complete a player change, so Brown will retreat behind his own goal. And now he leads the Hawk rushes. The North Stars line up for a cross. Brown will dump it in. Bad hop in front of the net. Larmer bounce over his stick. Giles may have saved a goal. He might have gotten a piece of that. And the North Stars clear it to the Hawk line.
Well, bad break for Casey. Came out to play it. It hit a partition, came right out in front, and the puck hopped over Steve Larmer. You'd hate to see a goal like that decide the playoff game.
Now Larmer back into the North Star zone to Savard, far corner. Dug it loose to Larmer. Threw it in front to Wilson. The drive. Casey, big save. Rebound just missing Goulet. Then Wilson held it in. Now around the boards. Larmer on the far side. To the line, and Yanni gave it back to Larmer. Side of the net, Goulet trying to center one, couldn't get it through to Norty. Wilkinson steals and clears. Now Yanni got help from Wilson deep in his own end. Wilson bounce one to Troy Murray. He stopped, now dropped it into his own zone. The Chicago power play is over. Both teams back at full strength. And Troy Murray has difficulty getting up along the boards. Ran into the linesman Gauthier. Now corralled by Wilson. And he dumps it into the North Star zone. Troy Murray to the far side. Got bumped by Bellows along the boards. They're going to hold it there. And the whistle sound.
Two chances, both of them coming on the power play, both terrific chances. Yanni stopped by Casey all alone in front on the first Hawk power play. A dump in, though, before by Keith Brown. Hit something in the corner, came right out front to Larmer. Larmer had him beaten and down, but the puck hopped over his stick. But after that, though, Doug Wilson had a point-blank chance coming in from his point position. And Casey with an excellent save on a blast from Doug Wilson. Two power plays, two great chances. That's probably what you'd like to see happen. Casey, a good reaction on a bullet from Wilson from 25 feet.
Now here's the draw. Roenick behind the North Star net. Jeremy Roenick trying to center one, couldn't get it to the front of the goal. Roenick still on the far side. Now to the corner, and Gilbert leaves it for Thomas. It's hacked off his stick. Gilbert works the boards, but Duchesne took it away. Clearing attempt held in by the Hawks. In the corner is Thomas. Knocked down there, and Duchesne wants a whistle if he can get it. Still nobody able to gain control out of the scramble. And finally, Kerry Fraser sounds the whistle. We're halfway through a scoreless first period. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
She's all ours.
Going into business, got something new. Gonna paint the town, red, white, and blue. Coming through this.
Nice place. How about some customers?
Ladies' night.
Great place, guys. Who did your decorating?
The Edmonton Oilers, trying to stay alive in the playoffs, have come roaring out of the gate in Winnipeg. Edmonton 3, the Jets nothing. In the first period there, Winnipeg with a 3-2 lead. But they have their hands full tonight. And Winnipeg is at home for this game. Here's the play behind the Hawks net. Aaron Broten with a wraparound and a save. Rebound. Chambers. They score! In by Neal Broten, I believe. A long drive by Chambers was deflected in past Millen, and it's 1-0 Minnesota.
Well, Aaron Broten, who's had 2 good shifts, putting pressure on the Blackhawks, tried the wraparound. Gavin spun around. Trent Yanni leaves the front of the net, goes a long way to chase him. Forces Broten out. Millen deflects it back to Chambers. Chambers moves in, and I think it might have hit the top of Millen's glove. He didn't see it. But Yanni leaving the front the wrong way. That enabled Broten to come out the other side, and then Chambers through traffic with Aaron Broten there to possibly deflect it. If he didn't, he distracted Millen enough to give the North Stars the opening goal of this Game 6. 10:28, the time of the goal. Chambers, I think, will get credit for it. That would be his second.
Chambers is awarded the goal from Aaron Broten and Stuart Gavin at 10:28. Comes Manson racing over the North Star line, mishandled it, got knocked flying by a Giles hip check, and here come the North Stars out. Dumped into the Hog zone. McRae to the far corner, a back pass, and is intercepted by Gilbert, who got it to center. Now Hawks dump it into the North Star zone. There's Larry Murphy. Long feed missing. McRae slides the length. It'll be an icing call against Minnesota.
And twice now the Broten line with brother Aaron and Gavin have put good pressure on the Blackhawks. Meanwhile, Don Churla and a player change just ran into Savard.
And Kerry Frazier over to the North Star bench with both linesmen having something to say to Churla. I think he detected what you did, but there will be no penalty here. Face off to the right of John Casey. Sean Chambers, who has the game's first goal, born in Royal Oak, Michigan. And he went from there to play collegiately at the University of Alaska Fairbanks.
He's up there in a fishing trip, or how did you find out about that place?
Well, it's like your hometown. They have 10 months of winter and 2 months of bad skating.
Good ice fishing, though.
Now the draw cleared to center ice. Wilson to Brown. Clearing it into the North Star zone. Back of the net goes Larmer, trying to center it, too far for Goulet, and winds up back at the Hawk line. Tenorti bumped on the far side, then Larmer got crunched by Aaron Broten from behind, but Wilson feeds Larmer over the line, and the Hawks are ruled offside. Tenorti, a couple of times in this shift, came together with Larmer. They have words now, but that will be all. 8 minutes remaining in the opening period. 1-0 Minnesota. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
All right, let's take the eyewitness.
It was like nothing I'd ever seen before.
It started with a few random spottings.
Eyewitness, we're spotted incoming over that hill. Amazing!
It's a fantastic vision of their future.
It was oblong in shape with windows all around.
To others, it's everything they've been waiting for.
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
The all-new Revia. It's here. Unbelievable! It's a Toyota, and it's like nothing you've ever seen.
A physical shift for Mark Tenorti, who was doubtful for Game 5, but played with a bad back, missed most of Game 4. The long summer, the last chance tonight. They can't. A lot of players back in the lineup, even though they're doubtful, because they want to make sure they can help their team win.
Busil, the only injury really for the North Stars, and he was a scratch tonight. Here's the play into the Hawks zone. Bellows centered it. Barber the drive, and a save by Millen with a left pad. And the Hawks able to clear it, but it winds up in the bench area. And Don Barber, who always seems to play well against Chicago, had a good opportunity there.
2 goals and an assist in that 4-0 shutout, and Game 4 was outstanding in the regular season in his brief career with, as we said, 7 goals in his lifetime against the Blackhawks.
He's out there with Bellows and Gagne. Troy Murray, Gilbert, and Creighton for Chicago. Now a couple of players moving prematurely again.
The Blackhawks without Jocelyn Lemieux, who's back in for Game 5, missed Game 4. He played so well on this line with Gilbert and Troy Murray. They really did a lot of banging and crashing and forechecking in the 5th game. Something they did in the last couple of weeks of the season.
Now here's Steve Conroy. His pass deflecting to the North Star end. Bellows unable to clear it. Into the corner goes Creighton. Adam Creighton behind the net for Troy Murray. Gilbert battling to get away from his check, couldn't do it. Murray centering pass deflects to Gilbert. Quick shot, they score! Greg Gilbert off a scramble in front of the net. The Blackhawks have come back to tie the game at 1.
Well, Troy Murray with some excellent work first along the near boards, just inside the zone, kept battling, got to a loose puck in behind the net. And then with Gilbert in front, Creighton went to the crease, tied up the defenseman. Creighton, after making the bank pass behind the net, went to the front, so did Gilbert. Now Creighton takes Wilkinson with him, also Bellows, and he ties up 2 players, and then Gilbert comes in and puts it through Casey to tie it up at 13:33 of the first period. So Troy Murray and Creighton get the assists on Greg Gilbert's 2nd goal of the series, or 3rd goal, I should say. Well, Gilbert had a terrific regular season and having the same type of success here in the playoffs.
It was scored at 12:33, so just 2 minutes after the North Stars took the lead, the Blackhawks answer. Here's the draw now. Into the Hawk zone is Aaron Broten. Neal centering one for Aaron, and he deflected it wide. Now to the corner, Aaron Broten against Savard. Broten trying to dig it out, but Savard wins the puck, races back over the North Star line, put it to Thomas, cutting in, fires, and he shot it wide. Now Savard centering pass deflects to the far corner. Larmer to the deep slot. Manson, his long shot, missed the net, rebound off the end boards, and shot wide. Now the shot, and that's shot over top of the net. Here's Savard walking out in front, all alone, shooting. Didn't get it through, though, as it was blocked nicely by Tenorti. And Aaron Broten the other way to Neal over the line. His drive. Millen ducking out of the way of that high shot. And is cleared back into the North Star zone. Siren trying to get away from Presley. Flips it to center. And a hand pass ruled here against Chicago.
Well, right after the Hawks tie it up, they come right back with a flurry. It's a 3-on-2 break for the Savard line with Goulet. Savard's shot not getting through, but Larmer with a good chance on a Dave Manson deflection. And Thomas was in front of the net as well. Greg Gilbert led the team in plus-minus in the regular season. 72nd career playoff game for Greg Gilbert.
here's Siren kicking it over to Murphy on the near side. Back to Billy Siren. Put it to Barber. And to dump it in. Yanni picks it off, though, and gave it to Roenick, sliding it into the North Star end. Here's Siren. Got it around the boards. Nobody on the far side, and Yanni gathers it in at center ice to Presley. Flipped it to Conroy over the line. Conroy for Roenick, a bouncing puck, stick handling in now, centered one, and Goulet tipped it wide. He picked it out of midair. He got it to Presley's side of the net. Presley against Murphy. And a battle his way into the slot area. Presley tries to take a dive. Good no call there by Frazier. And Billy Siren for the North Stars sends it away to Bello. Clearing it over the line. Gagne tees it up, shooting, and a save by Millen. Rebound Manson. Cleared it not out. Bellows a steal, put it in front. Didn't get it through to Dowlin as the Hawks steal it back and got it to center ice. Dowlin back in on Brown on the far side. Ulf Dowlin turns behind the net. Brown rubs him off on the boards. Now gathered in by Troy Murray. Murray hammers it down the other way. And it rolled through the goal crease, so no icing here against Chicago. Wilkinson chopped it to center. Manson dumps it back in. Gilbert to the corner, got run over by Neal Wilkinson, and out come the North Stars. Dowlin's pass broken up. Winds up back in the Minnesota end. Wilkinson harassed by Adam Creighton, then Savard takes it away, shooting. Casey the save, trying to corral it, failed to do so, but the North Stars managed to clear it to center ice, and it deflects over the boards into the Minnesota bench with 4 minutes remaining in the first. It's 1-1. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Come on, sport.
We interrupt this vacation
Charge it.
for a reminder. There's a better way to go.
Here you are.
Just choose the card that actually pays you cash back for every charge. The Discover card. It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
Well, Blackhawks really coming on since tying it up at 12:33. Dennis Savard had a good chance right after Gilbert let one go. Savard cranks it up just past the stick of the defenseman. Casey made the save, and then trying to dive on it, had it squirt loose from him.
Now the draw. Wilson flipped in there. Tenorti back. Mark Tenorti up the right wing boards to Gavin. Cleared it to center. Aaron Broten flips it in. Now on the far side, Larmer rolled it to the center ice area. And the North Stars dump it back into Chicago territory. Dennis Savard looking to clear it. Now managed to carry to center ice. Got it to Thomas over the line. Steve Thomas, a long wrist shot sailing wide. Larmer on the near board. Rolled it behind the net for Savard. Centering. Nobody home for Chicago in the slot. And the North Stars come away. McRae on left wing into the Hawk zone. Basil McRae got bumped by Yanni, who took him off the puck. Now Goulet comes out with it. Michel Goulet into the North Star zone. The long shot golfed it up off the glass. Now in the far corner, Sutter dug it out, centering, quick shot wide by Roenick, and picked off by Larry Murphy to Shane Churla at center ice. Dumping it into the Blackhawk zone. Now Roenick able to clear it to center. Goulet flipped it into the North Star zone. Kurt Giles and Neal Wilkinson on the near side. Works his way loose. Now steps over the Hawk line, 3-on-3. Wilkinson trying to walk in, got around Manson, shooting, and a save, rebound, they score! Greg Millen argues the goal. He may think it was kicked in, but the goal will stand. It's 2-1 North Stars.
Wilkinson with a great individual effort. Looked like he was knocked off the puck by Manson. He spun around as he went to the left of the net. Got around Manson, turned, fired it. Millen made the save, but Berezan goes crashing into the net with the puck. Well, Millen wants to say that he kicked it in intentionally, but Berezan was put into the crease and to the puck by Keith Brown, but Wilkinson got around Manson. Turned, fired, quick, sharp-angled shot. Deflecting in off Berezan, and the North Stars get credit for their second goal and a 2-1 lead. With 2 minutes and 35 seconds to go.
Berezan broke his nose in late March. He's wearing that protective shield. But he's been a valuable performer when he's been able to play in this series, and it wasn't pretty, but it gives the North Stars a 2-1 advantage. As he muscled the rebound into the net. Now Creighton off the draw, trying to center, picked off, and Troy Murray got it back to Creighton, rolling it in behind the goal. Gilbert hit there by Dahlin. Now here's Creighton trying to dig it loose. Creighton into the deep slot, a wrist shot in front, taken by Gilbert, couldn't pull the trigger. Great work defensively by Alf Dahlin. Without getting a penalty, he managed to corral Gilbert and prevented him from getting a shot. He was right on the doorstep. But terrific work and good strength shown by Alf Dahlin in his own slot area. Now here's McGill at his own line. Gave it to Wilson. Doug Wilson pass taken by Larmer in traffic over the line. And a center at Savard, peels off to the corner, gave it to Thomas walking in front, couldn't pull the trigger, and now Aaron Broten came up with it for the North Stars. Broten clearing it into the Blackhawks zone. Savard pass stolen by Aaron Broten, the shot, he missed the net, rebound Gavin, the shot, Millen fell down, now Neal Broten, he scores! Greg Millen got himself in trouble as he fell down after the first shot. He scrambled to get back up, but did succeed. Neal Broten on the rebound makes it 3-1 North Stars. Aaron Broten's long shot that went wide. Then Millen, as he tried to recover for the rebound from Gavin, just fell down of his own accord. Neal Broten picking up the loose puck, scooped the backhander in as Millen dove but couldn't get to it. And the North Stars with a 3-1 lead. 2 late goals here by Minnesota. And Neal Broten, the all-time leading scorer for the North Stars, here with a backhand chance. In some ways a lost start, but he makes no mistake there. And Minnesota scores 2 goals in under a minute and a half to grab a 3-1 lead. Here's Basil McRae off the draw. His shot is deflected in front and picked up by Manson. Manson takes a shot, missing the North Star target. Into the far corner, Troy Murray comes together with Giles. Murray with 45 seconds left in the period. To Manson with a long shot. Missed the net. Rebound Berezan clears the center. And now Manson back into his own zone. Now the Hawks dump it into Minnesota ice. Casey put it to the left wing boards. And here's Siren with a long shot. Millen blocked it to the near side. Sherlock was knocked down there. And here come the Hawks back. Conroy dumping it in. Siren hacked at it, bounced it to Gagne. He failed to corral it, now came loose to the near board. And the North Stars able to clear it to center, and that's going to do it for the first period, and they love it here in the Met Center. In the opening period, 10 shots on goal for Minnesota, just 5 for Chicago. The North Stars open the scoring on a Sean Chambers long-range blast from Aaron Broten and Stuart Gavin at 10:28. The Hawks got it back on a Greg Gilbert point-blank shot from Troy Murray and Adam Creighton at 12:33. Then the two quick goals late in the period for the North Stars. Berezan muscling one, a rebound from Wilkinson and Giles at 17:25, and then Neal Broten on another rebound. This one a backhander from Gavin and Aaron Broten at 18:48. And the North Stars, with those two late goals, have grabbed the lead after 20 minutes. They lead the Hawks 3-1. News, weather, and sports coming up on the radio. On television, Dale standing by with Doug Wilson. We'll hear from him live, and then Mike Lederman has more back in the Sports Channel studios. After 20 minutes in the Met Center, Minnesota 3, Chicago 1. Minnesota with a late flurry has grabbed a 3-1 lead after 20 minutes, and Dale Talon is standing by with one of the Blackhawks stars to talk about it.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I'm with Dougie Wilson. Dougie looked pretty good for a while. It was 1-1 and looked like you were having control of the game, and all of a sudden a couple of late goals. What's it about this first period in this building?
I don't know. I mean, we were playing real discipline. We were getting it in, keeping it deep, keeping the third man high, and next thing you know, we had a couple of breakdowns, and they put two pucks in the net.
What do you think you have to do here in the second period? Is it, you know, 2-goal deficit, certainly not insurmountable, but the offense is hard to come by in this series.
It is, but I think we just have to stay with the type of play we were playing earlier in the period. We don't want to open it up with them. We'll get our chances if we keep working hard on our end.
The North Stars surprising you as far as their work ethic and how well they've bounced back after tough losses?
Not really. I mean, we've got a great rivalry we've developed over the years, and I mean, they're not going to give up anything, and it's going to be a tough series.
Do you feel that the pressure is on the Blackhawks now after that first period?
Well, we have to play controlled. I mean, we can't just you know, change our game plan right now. We've got 40 minutes left. Peck away at it, and we'll see what happens. Power
play has not been the best in the playoffs. Two good chances. You had a great chance in there. What were you trying to do on that the power play?
Well, we're trying to move around and get some shots, and I think before we've just been standing around. We want guys jumping into holes and moving, changing the angles a little bit. And I jumped in a hole. I think Steve Larmer fed me, and I thought it was bait.
Their penalty killing has been very aggressive. How do you counteract that?
Well, you've got to move it crisply. I mean, you can't stand. Once you get the puck, you got to move it to another open guy because they're charging and leaving one guy open. You just have to find him when you get the chance, bury it.
How about yourself now? Feeling a little more relaxed after the birth of your fourth child?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. It was great to be there, but this is playoff time, and that's what I have to concentrate on.
Congratulations with the baby, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Dale.
All right, Dougie Wilson, our guest. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Minnesota limiting Chicago to just 5 shots on goal in the first 20 minutes of play here tonight, so the North Stars have assumed that 3-1 lead. The game was scoreless and pretty tightly played. Just a couple of chances either way in the first half of the first period. Sean Chambers then broke through with a long-range slapper to give the North Stars a 1-0 lead. But the lead didn't last long as the Hawks were able to come back.
Well, they tied it up at 12:33. Work. Creighton in the corner. Back to Troy Murray, who kept the play alive with some good board work. In behind the net, comes out, fakes one way, comes out the other way. Now Creighton went to the front and tied up Bellows and Wilkinson, enabling Gilbert to sneak in and put it through the legs of Casey to tie it up at 12:33. It looked good for the Blackhawks. After that, they had some momentum, put some pressure on the North Stars. Casey had a couple of good saves on Dennis Savard right after that. But some breakdowns. Wilkinson with Manson backing in, and then Wilkinson gets around him. Manson let him go. He fires the rebound out front right into Berezan, who was shoved into the crease. Millen ruling, saying it was kicked in, but Fraser ruling otherwise. That made it 2-1 at 17:25. And then with just under 2 minutes to go, the dump in by Aaron Broten. A good period for Aaron Broten, Neal Broten, and Gavin. They had most of the pressure for the North Stars. The clearing attempt kept in by Broten on the backhand clearing attempt. The shot wide. Millen loses his footing. The shot blocked. It goes to Aaron Broten, or Neal Broten, who picks it up and puts the backhander over Millen, who tried to get back. But the Hawks had possession, coughed it up, and then Millen lost his balance. A late goal, flurry by the North Stars to give him a 2-goal lead, and the first period continues to haunt the Blackhawks here in this building.
And this building continues to be a chamber of horrors for Chicago. They've lost 5 out of 6 here, and they're down tonight 3-1. A late flurry by the North Stars has given Minnesota a 3-1 lead over Chicago heading into period 2.
Top off your Easter Sunday at the Chicago Stadium. The Olympic skaters will be at the stadium tomorrow at 5:30. Good tickets still available at the stadium box office. Charge your tickets by calling 312-902-1919. And for our Chicago viewers, stay tuned for same-night coverage of the Chicago Bulls as they take on the Washington Bullets following Blackhawk hockey. Our next White Sox game on Sports Channel tomorrow at 1:30. The Sox host the Cleveland Indians. Join Ken Hawk Harrelson and Tom Paciorek live from Comiskey Park for the Sox and the Indians at 1:30 tomorrow, exclusively on Sports Channel. Ed Belfour, the bullpen man, the third time in this series he's replaced Greg Millen. He's credited for his first win and his first ever playoff performance, and has played well in a backup role.
So after Millen gives up 3 in 10 shots in the first period, Belfour comes on here to start period 2. And the Berezan line opens for Minnesota against the Troy Murray line for Chicago. And here's the draw now, controlled by the North Stars. Wilkinson flips it into the Hawk zone. Conroy got it to Troy Murray. Murray to Conroy, trying to dump it in. Kurt Giles picked it off, though. And Giles feeds to McRae at center. His pass is stolen and shot back into the Minnesota end. On the left wing boards, Basil McRae fires it out to center ice. Now Berezan bangs it into the Hawk zone, taken by Greg Gilbert. To the near side, and Creighton got a big hit from Tenorti on the boards. Then Berezan held it in the long shot. Belfour the save, rebound. McRae's stick tied up, tries to take a dive. Good no call by Frazier there. And it's shot up over the glass and into the crowd. Well, welcome to the game, Ed Belfour in his first minute of play. A fairly difficult chance with a little traffic in front of him.
Almost deflected, too. Berezan scored the second goal. McRae deflecting that shot, so good reaction by Belfour in traffic, and then the dive taken by McRae.
Greg Millen yanked for the third time in this series, trying to exhort his teammates behind the Chicago bench. And Eddie the Eagle Belfour on in relief again. This guy's getting more work than Mitch Williams. Jeremy Roenick and Dave Gagne will get ready for a face-off in the Chicago zone. Now ready, here's the draw. Manson around the boards for Hudson. I believe his first shift of the game. His pass deflecting out to center, and Wilson is there to Roenick. Bouncing it into the North Star zone. Casey looking to clear, did get it out to center, and Gagne on the move there. His pass broken up beautifully by Wilson. And now Searin carries on to Gagne over the Hawk line. Dropped it back. Quick shot and a save by Belfour. Doesn't know where it is. It hopped loose behind the net. Now a centering pass shot. They score! Larry Murphy. As it was dug out behind the Murphy right in the slot, bangs it by Belfour to the stick side. 4-1 Minnesota.
Well, defensive coverage has not been very good in this game, especially the last of the first and the early part here of the second. Barber, after he found the puck before anyone else, Belfour made the first save. It had to deflect up high, lost sight of it. Barber picked it up. The puck came back into the corner as Barber surprised Presley. He put it into the corner. Pass out front by Murphy, makes no mistake. He has a great shot. You get him that close, Belfour had no chance. 4-1 Minnesota.
Now Doug Wilson deep in his own end, around the board to Thomas and out to Roenick. Jeremy Roenick racing in on Gavin. Dropped it to Presley, overskates, and Manson shoots. Casey the save. The net comes loose as Gavin and Roenick went crashing in. Now Searin got a stick from Manson. I'm not sure if the officials saw it. Was it Presley? I might have said identified the wrong man. I said Manson. It could have been Presley. the culprit. But it appears there will be no penalty here.
Well, Presley carries it in. The shot by Manson, the save by Casey, juggles. Roenick knocked into the net, and then off the play, Cern and Presley sticks up. Only the 6th shot on goal by the Blackhawks. Hawks were down 3-0 in game 2 at the stadium, but that was early in the first period. They were able to come back thanks to some power play goals and a shorthanded goal.
Now Neal Broten and Savard will go for a draw eventually, but at the moment the 3 officials are conferring. Now that's breaking up. Savard now with Van Dorp on the left side and Larmer on the right. In the first period, Savard and Larmer were on for 2 of the 3 Minnesota goals against. They were dominant in Game 5 in Chicago Stadium. They've had a difficult start here in Game 6 tonight. Here's the draw. Back of the North Star net. Now taken by Aaron Broten. He chops it down all the way. And this is going to be an icing call against the North Stars. Early in the third, Minnesota leads Chicago 4-1. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Who is it?
It's me, Mommy.
It's funny. When we're little, it seems we want to talk to Mom every moment of the day.
Mommy, it's me.
But the older we get, it seems the harder it is to find those moments.
One, we're all connected. Huh? It's me, Mommy.
Year to year, right down the line. She's still on the other end of the line. Just call.
Hi, Mom, it's me.
Just call.
Hi.
We're all connected.
Are you all ready?
Pat Foley and Dale Talon in the Mets Center early in the second period. Minnesota trying to stave off elimination, and an inspired effort so far tonight from the North Stars, and the same cannot be said of the Blackhawks.
It's been the normal situation throughout this series. One team plays well, the other team plays poorly. And the next night it's the reversal. I expected this to be a much better game by both teams, that their performances would both be up to their best levels, but the North Stars with a big lead.
Now a penalty is going to be called as the North Stars dumped it in, and
well, it'll be offsetting penalties. Madonna for tripping Belfour, and then Yanni for holding. The initial signal shown by Fraser. Blackhawks with the only 2 power plays of the game, both of them coming in the first period. They failed to capitalize on both of them, though they had 2 good scoring chances. But Madonna clearly stuck his leg out to upend Belfour, and Yanni's going to get the other penalty for holding, so they'll be offsetting. Fraser explaining it to Giles and Greg Gilbert. Yanni goes to the box. First penalty of the game. The first penalties of the game came in at the 11-second mark of the first period to Barber and Gilbert.
so now it's Roenick, Presley, and Gilbert out there for Chicago. Gagne, Barber, and Bellows for Minnesota. Mike Keenan all year long, really the last 2 years since he's been in Chicago, not shy about changing line combinations, defense pairings, whatever, especially if his team is playing it less than where he feels they should be. And after the first 20 minutes, he said enough of those combinations, and everything changed around here early in period 2. And why not? The Hawks were poor in period 1, mustering up only 5 shots. And a couple of poor coverage situations in their own end. Now in the Chicago zone. Conroy couldn't get it out. Murphy, a long shot deflected wide. Murphy paid the price as he was leveled on the far side by Roenick. Now here comes Steve Conroy beating Presley over the North Star line. Knocked down by Larry Murphy along the board. Gagne, his pass hits a leg. Presley steals behind the net. It comes loose as there was a scramble in front of the goal, and it was knocked off the magnets. Now Presley and Bellows. Presley appeared to get the lumber up a little bit on Bellows after the whistle. And no more developments here. With 17 minutes to go in the second period, it's Minnesota 4, Chicago 1. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
You're gonna have to face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love. Might as well face it, you're addicted to love.
Presley and Bellows sent off as they got into an altercation after the whistle blew because the net got knocked off.
Now Troy Murray and Perry Berezan ready for a draw in the North Star zone. Here it is, into the near corner, and it'll be held there.
Berezan with only 3 goals in the regular season. It's his first goal in playoff competition, and it wasn't a thing of beauty. It went in off his skate. A rebound shot.
Here's Bob McGill with a long flip shot going wide, and McRae cleared it to the near side. Sutter took a hit but kept it in. Troy Murray in the near corner. Murray looking for Sutter. Shot it around the board. McRae bumped by Troy Murray. Now Van Dorp comes charging in there. He's able to dig it loose for a moment. Shot it in behind the net. Out of the near side, it trickles free to center ice. Manson takes a long shot, missing the target. And the North Stars now a whistle on the play, and maybe a delayed offside coming here, or is there a penalty or two on the way?
Well, there's a likely chance of it when you look at the players that are on the ice. Gray and Churla for the North Stars, Sutter and Van Dorp and McGill, Manson on the ice for the Blackhawks. A good forechecking shift with Troy Murray playing with 2 guys that he doesn't normally play with. McGill and Churla get involved at the blue line. McGill grabs the stick of Churla and then kicks it away.
Not fair, is it? Well, the North Stars in the driver's seat with a 4-1 lead. And the Blackhawks trying to mount an attack here, but in the first 4 minutes of the second period have been unable to generate anything yet. Now it's in the Minnesota zone. Stolen away by Gagne. Dave Gagne for Don Barber on left wing. The return pass. Gagne hit the deck and couldn't get to it. And it's taken by Steve Thomas, putting Manson to center. 3-on-2 for the Hawks. Manson over the line with the blinders on. Now trying to center one. Hits the leg. Stolen by Murphy. Murphy clearing it back the other way. Bob McGill gave it to Manson. Able to dump it in. Now back back of the goal. Kane loose in front. Thomas, one wacky fan on it. Rebound to the far side. Doug Wilson there. Here's the long shot. And it deflected wide. Now cleared to the near board. Thomas is there. Steve Thomas, center one. Savard turning. Savard into the deep slot. Still walking into the slot. Now dropped it for Wilson. Back to Savard in the corner. He rings it around the board. Aaron Broten couldn't get it past Brown. Now dug loose to Gavin. Gavin an outlet to Neal Broten moving over the Hawk line. Shooting and a save by Belfour. There'll be a penalty as Savard took down a man busting up the slot. And a penalty on the way against Chicago. The hole is getting deeper for the Blackhawks. They trail the North Stars 4-1. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
True Value hardware stores can change the look of your home with just a change of color. Choose from beautiful designer colors with True Test quality-proven Easy Care flat finish. And no matter what color you choose, this spatter-resistant finish will stay beautiful for years. So look at your color options and give any room a brand new look with True Test Easy Care flat finish, specially priced at just $10.98 a gallon at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Dennis Savard gets a tripping penalty. The North Stars will get their first power play. They have a 4-1 lead. Savard, after the Blackhawks got caught, hustled back, but got too much of Broten, pulled him down. And the North Stars with a chance to make it easy on themselves there with a 3-goal lead and the power play.
First power play opportunity tonight for Minnesota. The North Stars in the series, just 6 out of 34, and 3 of those came in one game. There's a long shot sticked away by Belfour, and the Hawks clear it. Murphy now lost it at center, and Troy Murray clears. Now Mike Modano puts Murphy to center. This pass gathered in by Neal Broten to the near corner. Barber rolled it to the far side. Murphy at the line. Deep shot. Neal Broten slipped it to Bellows near circle. Trying to center one. Larmer picked it off. Larmer gave it to Creighton into the North Star zone on Broten, and Neal Broten with nice work to steal Creighton's pass. Now Creighton battles along the far side. It's knocked loose though to Modano with a minute remaining on the Minnesota power play. Mike Modano trying to feed Bellows. He couldn't hold the pass, and the Hawks clear. Now Chambers. Bounce one to center. Gagne into the Chicago zone. In traffic, unable to make a play. And it's chopped loose back to center ice. Sean Chambers. Now to Neil Wilkinson turning in his own end. Long feed for Dahlen. It's an offside play.
Well, Dahlen, controversial trade here with the North Stars. They gave up Gardner for Dahlen. Fans were a little upset with that trade, but Dahlen, much younger player, different type performer than Gardner. Gardner, an explosive scorer who got the hat trick last night. The win for the Rangers, but Dahlen,
you know, as we talked about before, Jack Ferreira knew about him, of course, when he was with the New York Rangers, and Ferreira, I don't care about the talent level. I think we'll be a better team with this trade, and the record proves him right.
well, he's a mucker. He plays well in the corners along the boards in front of the net. He's got good balance and good strength.
But it was a controversial trade. There was one writer up here in Minnesota who said the North Stars acquired a rarity when they got Ulf Dahlen. He's a very rare player, a slow skating Swede. Now Dahlen trying to center. Big shot, big save by Belfour. Rebound. Shot wide. There'll be another penalty coming up against the Blackhawks. And the North Stars are all over Chicago here tonight. They're going to have another power play coming, and it's already a 4-1 Minnesota lead. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Frank, I send you for a Bud Light, and you bring back...
Well, Bud Light won't fill you up, never lets you down.
So, there are no men here, there's an unlimited supply of Bud Light, and we can never leave.
Correct.
Everything else is just a light.
We can live with that. Yeah.
The North Stars running all over the Blackhawks in their own zone. The Hawks chasing out of control. Yanni, as the flurry ended, it's a holding call. Some good work by the North Stars in their forechecking. Gagne, after Dahlin tried to wrap around, sent flying. Puck all over the net. Back to Dahlin, tries to wrap around, deflects to Gagne. Belfour, a good save. And Yanni knocks Gagne down and into the crease. And the North Stars will get their second straight power play. 4-1 North Star lead with 12:26 to go in the second.
Troy, Murray, and Modano ready. Murray won the draw to Manson. He lost it. Bellows along the board. Put it across to the far point. Murphy gave it to Modano along the far side. Behind the net, away from Barber. Now Bellows came up with it. Out to the line, Neal Broten. The Bellows along the board. Side of the net, Barber centered one, and Modano had turned away. Now at the line, Murphy slipped it to Modano. Centered. Quick shot. Blocked in front by Brown. It caroms to Troy Murray, who clears.
One extra pass there by the North Stars.
Now here's a lead for Neal Broten over the line with room. He shoots one. Belfour stopped it, and the Hawks clear it the other way. A minute left on the North Star power play. Murphy sends Chambers out to center ice. He puts it to Gagne over the line. Gagne cutting and shooting. Belfour, that just hit him in the left shoulder. Might have gotten a piece of the post as well. And it's cleared back to center. Steve Larmer flips it in. Now a lead stolen by Doug Wilson. Steps over the line to Larmer. Shooting, hit the side of the goal. Rebound to Larmer along the boards. Had it knocked loose. Here comes Alf Dahlin. Dahlin to Aaron Broten over the line. Broten trying to center it, missing Gagne. And the Hawks start back. Here's a lead. Troy Murray or Sutter racing and splits the defense. He shoots. Casey with the left arm got a piece of it. And a penalty coming up on Casey, who knocked down Dwayne Sutter. Sutter exploding up the middle of the ice. As much speed as we've ever seen from Dwayne Sutter. He just flew through the two defensemen. And Casey had to come up with a terrific save short while the Hawks were short-handed.
Sutter took a look, looked like it was going to peel off, and then saw Tenorti struggling to get back. Shot a backhander, good shot. Casey just got a piece of it. Sutter falls, goes into the crease, and Casey hacked him right in the back of the knee. A bad play on Casey's part with a 3-goal lead. He's got to keep his cool there, and the Blackhawks now with a chance after some fine penalty killing, with a chance to cut the lead and get back in the game. And you look for some sort of turning point for the Blackhawks, and this could be it. Meanwhile, at the other end, Gagne fake, drifted off to the forehand. McGill had to stay in the middle. There was a player over to his left, and the shot off the shoulder and off the post. Well, 4 seconds remaining on Yanni's holding penalty, and the Blackhawks will have their third power play.
Well, the face-off will be just inside the North Star line.
Keith Brown getting a lot of ice time in this game. It's a new cue. It's a defensive stick, and he switches it for the power play against his shooting stick.
Here's the draw. Kurt Giles gave it to Tenorti. The Hawk penalty over, and Chicago on the power play now. Brown for Wilson at center. Wilson chips it in. Back of the net, Tenorti. Got tied up there, stolen by Goulet. Then he overskated it. Now Adam Creighton able to pick it up. To Thomas on the far side, out to the line, Wilson. Back to Thomas on the board, threw it in behind the net. Goulet is there. Couldn't kick it forward to his stick, though. Minnesota steals, and Gavin couldn't get it out. Thomas, his pass stolen, and Berezan picks it up. Berezan got around Doug Wilson, who went down at center. Berezan cutting in, then peels off on Thomas. And never did pull the trigger. A minute left on the Chicago power play. Gavin doing some good board work, wasting a little time. Finally, Presley digs it out of Lane Presley. Cranks it into the North Star. Oh, he tried to dump it in. That hit the North Star player Wilkinson as he was backing up. Stunned him a little bit, but the play continues as the feed misses Savard. Chambers back into his own end. He's got plenty of time. Banks it to center, and Duchesne. Gaetan Duchesne a long shot, and Belfort gloves that. One more rush on this Hawk power play. Savard flipping it into the Minnesota zone. Giles hacked it up the near side. Savard couldn't hold it in. Now he lost it. Here's a steal by Bellows, trying to muscle in there. Center one. Belfort picked off the bouncing puck before Duchesne could get to it. Now Presley on the left wing board. Flipped it into the North Star zone. Giles back. Clearing to center ice. The North Star penalty over. Both teams back at full strength. Larmer in the deep slot. Now moves in. Shoots one. DC the save, and he gives no rebound. 8.5 to go in the second period. Minnesota 4, Chicago 1. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
If you want big savings on a small truck, buzz over to your Chevy dealer, where getting a great deal has never been easier. Right now, they're offering the biggest cashback incentives of the year on S10 pickups. No matter how you cut it during your Chevy dealer's value days, this could be the best bargain you'll ever drive. And don't forget about Chevy's low financing.
Well, the Blackhawks with their third power play of the night, down by 3 goals, and they didn't get a shot on goal. They never had a scoring chance. Probably the worst power play they've had this series.
That's saying something.
And their power play's been awful. North Stars were terrific all season long with killing penalties in their own. Their special teams here in this building as good as anybody in the league. 51 goals on the power play at home. They only gave up 24 goals shorthanded in 40 regular season games at home.
Now the draw. Here's McGill at the near point with a long shot. Deflected wide by Troy Murray. And Sherrill pushed it to center. Manson drives it back in there. McRae gave it to Larry Murphy. He's able to bounce it to center ice. Hawks dump it back in. Berezan clears it out. McRae in over the line on Manson, who turned the wrong way. McRae the shot, the save, rebound, and Troy Murray saved a goal. With Belfort down and out, Troy Murray saved that rebound attempt and kept the Hawks from falling behind even more. Now it's along the near side. Sutter couldn't get it out. Tenorti on his backhand to the far side, in on Troy Murray. Centered one. Came through to the near board as Churla couldn't get any wood on it. Now McGill feeds Van Dorp, who shot it to center ice. Berezan unable to dump it in. Murphy picks it up and flips it high into the Chicago zone. Gagne racing after it, shooting. Belfort rebound, knocks it away from Bellows, who would have had an open net otherwise. Now came loose in front. Out out to the deep slot. There's going to be a Hawk penalty now. A steal by Manson. The whistle sounds. And the Hawks will be shorthanded once again. Van Dorp will have a seat.
A high sticking penalty, so the Hawks running around in their own zone. Belfour with a good save. McRae turned Manson around on the backhand, and Troy Murray prevented a goal as Siren fanned on his shot, but it would have had enough steam to cross the line. Troy Murray had to pull it away, and then Belfour makes a good save, and then at the last second just swept it away from the oncoming Bellows. Well, the North Stars all over the Blackhawks in this particular shift, and it results in a Blackhawk high sticking penalty. Belfour, awkward, doesn't have the textbook type style, but he gets the job done. He's a battler and made the save, and then it away from the oncoming dangerous Brian Bellows. Meanwhile, Van Dorp, that flurry, gets a high sticking penalty. A rare shift for Van Dorp. Meanwhile, Belfour having the edge of his skate being stoned. He must have stripped an edge. Greg Millen replaced for the third time in the series by Bellows. At least this time it was at the end of the start of a period. It wasn't in the middle of a period.
And the Blackhawks, with hopes of ending this series tonight, have been badly outplayed by the North Stars. In 33 minutes of hockey, Chicago has 10 shots on goal. Minnesota has 23. And that sometimes can be misleading. In this case, it is not. That's indicative of the play. And the North Stars lead 4-1, trying to add one now with a power play. There's the Conroy in his own end. Around the boards for Gilbert. He clears. Here comes Murphy to Neal Broten, feeding Bellows over the line, slipped it across. Madano dropped it back to the deep slot. Murphy gave it to Madano far side, into the corner. Barber behind the net to Bellows. He couldn't corral it off the bank pass. Neal Broten held it in though. Behind the net is Barber, trying to stuff it in. Beat him to the near post. Now here's Neal Broten. His shot is blocked by Gilbert. Another shot, and Belfour stops this one. Then Gilbert clears. Murphy. Now his pass deflecting into the Hawk zone. Cleared back to center. Murphy is on it there with a minute left on the North Star power play. Aaron Broten in on Manson. He left it for Gagne, trying to cut into the slot. Gagne now center one. Belfour the big scramble. He stopped one shot. Came loose to Aaron Broten shooting. Belfour rebound. Gagne. He scored. Dave Gagne. The North Stars had only about 5 chances that time, and it's 5-1 Minnesota.
And another flurry, some scrambling, running around. Belfour made 2 saves in a row, and finally Gagne was able to come in, and the Hawks just chasing all over the place. Gagne started it with a shot, deflected. Bellows the save. The backhand shot. Conroy can't see it. Kicks it away. The backhand shot by Broten, a save, and Gagne puts it up over Belfour, who's on the seat of his pants. But you can't fault Belfour. How many chances do the North Stars need before they can score? Belfour stopped 2 good ones, and the Hawks failed to clear. There's no box. Everyone in the crease area, and Gagne makes them pay. 4-goal lead with 5:40 to go in the second period. A power play goal by Gagne.
Aaron Broten and Ulf Dahlen get the assist at 14:20. And a standing room only crowd here in the Met Center is loving what they're seeing here tonight. 15,196 in the Met Center tonight. And it has been a terrific performance by the North Stars so far. Here's a centering pass by Sutter. Casey blocks the bouncing puck, and it's then shot up into the crowd. 5 minutes to go in the second. Minnesota 5, Chicago 1. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
CCM 651 Tax. The only skate with vacuform. Heat molded to the exact shape of your foot. The only skate with heel lace, dual lacing that locks in perfect fit to transmit your power and control directly where you need it most, right into your game. 651 Tax by CCM. Turn on the power.
Well, the North Stars now in 4-goal lead, a great command of this game. They've dominated most of the game. It was 1-1 middle part of the first period. It looked like it was going to be that type of a hockey game, but the North Stars exploded with 2 goals late in the first and have added 2 here in the second. The last one by Gagne on the power play. And Van Dorp back out there with Sutter and Creighton, a line that has not been together that much. Van Dorp in his last shift got a high-sticking penalty, resulting in a power play goal.
Creighton trying to battle his way into the slot, couldn't do it. Knocked down, out comes McCray. McCray in on Manson, who gave him a face full of glove. He'll get a penalty. Boy, oh boy, that's, I don't know, I guess at this point the Hawks must feel like it's time to prove a point, and all they're doing is digging themselves a deeper hole. Minnesota leads 5-1. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Traffic or the weather outside will get you there safely where your ticket to ride. Pick up your pace, your suburban bus. Pick up your pace, yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll get you from place to place. We'll put a smile on your face. So pick up your pace. Come on and pick up, pick up, pick up. Pick up your pace.
Well, Manson with a roughing penalty, down by 4 goals. Van Dorp the last time took a high-sticking penalty, resulted in a power play goal. He just whacks McCray in the face and goes to the penalty box. Manson with 300 minutes in penalties in the regular season. Van Dorp close to that number as well as 303 to lead the team. They're not going to win many games like that in the penalty box. And it's been most of the series. The Hawks have taken most of the penalties in that vein.
Dono on the North Star power play to Murphy at the line. His long shot goes wide. Bellows on the near board, leaves it there for Barber. Don Barber moves behind the Hawk goal to Modano. Deep slot to Neal Broten. His long shot, he was looking for a tip. Now Barber feeds Modano for Bellows, who couldn't corral it. Stolen by Presley. Presley into the North Star zone, trying to get around Neal Broten. He did, but Murphy came across to take it away. And here comes Modano. Handed it right to Doug Wilson, then Modano got it back. Now here's Barber centering. Modano shot it just over top of the net. Modano near corner, dug it out to Neal Broten, shooting. Wilson blocked the shot. And Gilbert clears with a minute to go on the North Star power play. Here's Larmer over the line. He's onside, cutting in. Casey at poke check. Rebound Wilson. Casey! Great save on Wilson's rebound. And back come the North Stars. Modano knocked down. And the Blackhawks come out with Larmer. Stopped at center. Here the North Stars back in. Modano, but it's ruled to be an offside play. And John Casey continues his fine series.
Well, Casey pokes it away from Larmer. Larmer, good read on that deflected clearing attempt. Picked it with his glove up on the far side, cut in. Trying to shield the puck with his body. Casey dove headlong, poked it away, and Wilson came out like a slingshot. Wilson walked in and cranked it up, but Casey made the save. The Hawks looking for a shorthanded goal, looking for something to turn the game around. And Casey wouldn't allow it to happen, as he came out and kicked it away aggressively.
Now I believe we have a Minnesota penalty here. They're whistled for too many men on the ice. The North Stars so excited about that power play and getting a bigger lead, they to get over the board. So a too many men on the ice penalty called against the North Stars at 16:28. 38 seconds. Chicago will have a power play. And I would say that Chicago better cash in on that one to get a little closer before this second period's over. It could well be curtain for this game.
They've only won 3 games all year when trailing after 2 periods of play, and they haven't been trailing by 4 goals very many times this year.
Now, here's Larmer over the line, 4 aside, gave it to Wilson. His long shot. Casey gloving and holding. That's the 14th shot on goal by Chicago in the game.
Hawks had 5 shots in the first period. They've added 9 in this period. North Stars had 10, and they had 19 so far in this period. There's still 3.5 minutes to go. Those late goals by the North Stars in the first period really gave them the momentum. Goal at 17:25 and 18:48 turned the whole game around, and then an early goal by Murphy to start the second. It's been all North Stars. Casey has had to make a couple tough saves, and those 2 tough saves coming while the Hawks were shorthanded for the 4th time in the game.
The draw to Yanni at the far point. Long wrist shot. Casey stopped it. Larmer. Big save. Casey again. Steve Larmer with a glorious rebound chance, and John Casey a sprawling save.
Savard won the draw. He moved back to the front of the net. The centerman let him go. The shot deflected by Savard. That was a good save. Then Larmer got the rebound in front. Trent Yanni with a little snapshot towards Savard, who deflects it on net, and then the rebound and right into the glove of Casey, who went to his side. And then after the whistle, Gagne comes in and gets his gloves and stick up into the face of Larmer. Oh, Casey makes a great save on Doug Wilson on a shorthanded chance. Makes 2 excellent saves on that. Fleury in a 4-on-4. Or 5-on-5.
Steve Larmer with 90 points in the regular season to lead the Blackhawks. He had 31 goals. In this series, 1 goal and 3 assists, and with a number of chances he's had, you'd have to say that Casey has really had his number so far in the first 6 games of this series. Here's Mark Tenorti in over the Hawk line. Tenorti in on Yanni, and a whistle now. Offside call that the players didn't hear the initial whistle, and I think that's the case.
Well, Tenorti in game 1 was brilliant. Best game he's probably played as a professional. He and Musil and Chambers and Wilkinson really had outstanding games in that upset in game 1.
He came here to the North Stars as part of that multiplayer deal with the New York Rangers involving Brian Lawton. And what a find by the North Stars. Really not a find, because Jack Ferreira was a part of, I'm sure, drafting him while he was with the Rangers. Tenorti, an outstanding young defenseman, and the North Stars have a couple of those. This team, and as these young people on the blue line gain some experience, they could develop into one of the best defensive units in the entire NHL. All right, the Hawk penalty now over. Power play hockey for Chicago for 1:15. Here's Larmer in over the Minnesota line. In traffic, slipped it to Gilbert, hits a leg. Then Larmer got it back to Yanni. A shot. Casey stopped it. Rebound to the near board. Yanni keeping it in. Into the deep slot. Hammers it around the boards now. To the near corner, Larmer. Put it along the boards. Yanni had it, but then it's taken away to Gavin. And he clears. Now Larmer to Savard. In traffic, he lost it as he came to the line. Giles clears it. Keith Brown. Forced it turned by Duchesne. Now it's dumped into the North Star zone. And it winds up in the seat, sailing over the glass. 2 minutes to go in the second period and only 19 seconds left on the Chicago power play. Just 2 days ago, there were 5,000 tickets still available here in the Met Center. They were all sold. I think there's a fair contingent on hand from Chicago tonight, but 15,196 came through the turnstiles for this one.
And a lot of them well oiled.
Well, it was a nice day here in Minneapolis today in the Bloomington area, up in the 60s. And the tailgates were in full force when the Hawks arrived here a couple hours before the game. The parking lot was nearly filled with fans having a nice afternoon barbecue and a few libations, I'm sure. Here comes Thomas into the North Star zone. Battled away from one check, then knocked down to the corner. The North Star penalty over. Both teams back at full strength as Wilkinson battles along the boards. Couldn't get it out. In the corner, Thomas cuts in, shoots. It's deflected wide and picked up by Giles. There's Giles. Gets it over the Hawk line. Got it to Neal Broten. And he couldn't pull the trigger as Conroy tied him up. And out comes Presley. Wayne Presley to Steve Thomas. Cranks a long shot. It missed the target. And we're in the final minute of the second period. By the way, in the second intermission, there's a very interested spectator at this game tonight. Bob Berry, one of the assistant coaches for St. Louis, is here, and Dale will talk with him in the second intermission. Now, here's Casey freezing one at the side of his own net. Winnipeg has scored, and now they're down just 3-2 to Edmonton as the Jets try to eliminate the Oilers tonight. That game, of course, in Winnipeg, so likely this would be the best chance for the Jets to move on. And, of course, a little bit later on, they'll be squaring off in the Forum in L.A. as the L.A. Kings try to eliminate the defending champion, Calgary Flames.
Trying a couple shots.
And on most of these sports channel stations, you'll see that one when we're done here. Face-off will be to the left of Casey. Neal Broten's had a big game. He squares off with Adam Creighton for the draw.
This line has been terrific. Gavin on the right side and Aaron on the left side. Broten.
Larry Murphy chips it to the Chicago end. Manson's pass deflecting to Neal Broten. Shot it around the boards. Taken by Larmer on right wing. His pass deflects into the North Star end. Thomas came up with it there, moving in center. Larmer, a bouncing puck, couldn't get any wood on it. And it's cleared outside away from Manson. Aaron Broten has a breakaway from center ice in. He's in alone on Belfour. Belfour the save with 2 seconds left in the period, and we're going to have a penalty coming up at 19:58.
Well, I think Thomas might get a slashing penalty or some sort of infraction. Well, Broten just took it away from Manson, who had trouble with a bouncing puck at the blue line. And with 9 seconds to go, he picked it off at the line. And Manson couldn't stop him. Broten pulls away. Clear-cut breakaway. Takes his time, fakes, pulls it to his forehand, back to his backhand, but Belfour made the save. Well, the Hawks still down by 4, and Thomas goes to the penalty box. 2 seconds to go. So Thomas gets a slashing penalty for laying the lumber on Broten after Belfour made the save on him. So another penalty for the Blackhawks, and the North Stars will get 2 seconds off a face-off and start the third period. Meanwhile, Casey goes to the box and gets sent back. What's the point of taking any chance with a 4-goal lead? Page Jay sends Casey back. Wilson's getting cute now.
Keenan calls Troy Murray over. He wants to know why Casey was allowed to come to the North Star bench. That's Keenan's beef here. So Kerry Frazier tells him why, and there'll be a draw to the right of Belfour. Hudson on there for this face-off against Berezan. And Madonna and Murphy are behind Berezan, hoping for a chance. 2 seconds to go in the period. Hudson able to tie him up in the second period is in the books. A great salute for the North Stars from their local following in the second period. Minnesota 20 shots on goal. Chicago 14. Two-period totals 30-19 favoring Minnesota, and 2 more goals for the North Stars against Ed Belfour, who came in to replace Millen at the start of the period. Larry Murphy scored from Bellows and Barber at 1:26, and then on a North Star power play, Dave Gagne. As the North Stars swarm the Hawk net, Gagne from Aaron Broten and Dowling at 14:20 to send the North Stars to the 4-goal lead. And so after 2 periods, Minnesota in command at 5-1. News, weather, and sports coming up on the radio, and Dale standing by with St. Louis assistant coach Bob Berry. You'll hear from him in a moment. Minnesota all over the Blackhawks here tonight, 5-1 after 2 periods. The other big game going on at the moment is in Winnipeg, and the Edmonton Oilers, having been caught by the Jets at 3, now have scored again. Yeri Curry scores in the third, so the Edmonton Oilers now have a 4-3 lead over Winnipeg. 3-1 after 1 here in Minnesota. The North Stars didn't take long to score again in the second.
Well, the 2 late goals really gave them the momentum. They started off in a hurry, and the Hawks back in. The shot off the blocker. Belfour loses it. Barber beats Presley to it. Hacks it to the corner to Bellows. Bellows into Murphy, who was left all alone. Murphy from the hash marks just beat Belfour with a blast, and that made it 4-1. And then on the power play, Gagne, who started it. The Blackhawks running all over. Belfour with 2 saves in a row. Can't get back up. Makes 2 saves while he's down. And then Gagne gets the rebound and buries it. Belfour swimming around, trying to find the loose puck. And that made it 5-1 on the power play. The Hawks had 2 power plays of their own. Didn't get much going on it, but one of their best chances, Savard to Yanni. Yanni shot deflected by Savard. Casey makes the save on Larmer's rebound attempt, and that's the story for the Blackhawks. They don't get many chances, and when they do, Casey shuts the door. But a great story for the North Stars. 40 brilliant minutes.
They're all over the Hawks. It's 5-1 mini. Minnesota has lit up the red light 5 times tonight. They have a 5-1 lead over Chicago. Pat Foley and Dale Talon back in the Met Center as we head into the third period. North Stars have outshot Chicago 30-19. So it's a 5-1 Minnesota lead as they will open up this third period on a power play. Remember the late slashing penalty to Steve Thomas. Power play hockey for the North Stars to open up period 3. Here's Don Barber into the Chicago zone. Bumped into the corner by Gilbert. Now Madonna pries it loose to Barber. Out to the line, Murphy. Deep slot, Neal Broten. Gave it to Madonna on the near side. He left it for Murphy. A long shot deflected just high. And Brian Bellows with a tip didn't miss by much. And Brown then able to clear it. Here come the North Stars. Neal Broten. Trying to dump it in. Hit Brown. Savard turns the other way. One-on-one with Murphy. Savard into the North Star zone. And Murphy poke checked it away. Now the North Stars Bellows on the left side. Feeding to Murphy over the Hawk line. Or Madonna, rather. Mike Madonna. Cleared it behind the Hawk net. Bellows in front. A quick shot, and he hit the side of the goal. Now Wilson away. Doug Wilson. In over the North Star line, left it for Savard, got around one check, now centered it, Larmer, the shot, Casey stopped it. Rebound Larmer, his pass stolen by Chambers, clearing, yes, just out to center ice with half a minute left on the North Star power play. Here's Chambers into the Hog zone, dropped it to Gagne, who was knocked down. Presley 2-on-2 the other way. Presley over the line, into the deep slot, his shot is blocked by Aaron Broten. Now Chambers gave it to Aaron Broten. Broten in over the Hawk line, trying to walk up the slot, mishandled it. Belfour shot it himself to center ice, and the Chicago penalty is now over. Both teams are back at full strength. Now it's cleared to the neutral zone. Adam Creighton carries it in on Giles to the corner. Then Roenick came up with it there. Got a big hit from Churla. Winds up behind the Minnesota goal. Roenick. And let's see, the goal they thought was dislodged, so the whistle sounds. It's early in the third. It's 5-1 Minnesota. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
You see the signs, but you can read. Running at a different speed. Your heart beats in double time. Another kiss, and you'll be mine. One track mind. You're addicted to love. Might as well face it. You're addicted to love.
The Hawks getting better chances when they're shorthanded than they do on the power play.
Now Chambers banks it ahead to Perry Berezan, crossing the Chicago line. Manson turned him around there. McGill up with it. Long feed is stolen by Tenorti. Gave it to McCray. Manson took him off the puck, and it's shot to the North Star line. Chambers. His pass picked off by Bob McGill. Clearing it into the North Star zone. Basil McCray beating Broten, who coughed it up to Savard with a quick shot. It's high off the glass and winds up back at center ice. Trent Yanni on the far side. Now flips it in behind the Minnesota goal. Wilkinson. Nice one-hand pass to Neal Broten, who cleared the zone. Goulet dumping it back in there. Now chasing to the far corner, kicked it loose to Savard, who feeds Larmer on the far board. Larmer looking to center it. Wilkinson intercepting that and rolled it to center ice. Now Giles hits it over the Hawk line, put it to the far corner, Aaron Broten, and Larmer knocked him down there. Around the boards, Murphy keeping it in. They gave it to Gagne, but he couldn't pull the trigger as Wilson tied him up. Out comes Savard into the North Star zone, leaving for Goulet, and it's chopped off his stick by Murphy. Larry Murphy racing into the Hawk zone, beating Bellows. He cuts in, turns behind the net, center, one quick shot. Belfour the save. Rebound, Barber in the near corner. Don Barber looking for a play to Murphy at the line. He tries to center, stolen by Brown. To Presley on right wing, and he rolled it to center ice. Now Presley over the North Star line. Cleared it behind the goal. Thomas well covered there by Murphy. Now Thomas trying to dig it out. He did, walks in front, shooting, hit the goal post. Steve Thomas fired it by Casey, only to have it hit the pipe and bounce harmlessly away. And Gagne dumps it into the Chicago zone. Now Presley unable to get it in deep. Out comes Modano. Mike Modano to Dowling on left wing, cutting for the net, centered it too far in for Modano. He was ready for the one-timer, but the pass an errant one, and now the goal comes off the moorings with 5 minutes gone in the third. 5-1 Mini. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Help you?
Just looking.
We interrupt this browsing for another useful tool.
Perfect.
The card that actually pays you cash back for every charge.
That's it.
The Discover card.
Thanks for just browsing.
It pays to discover the card that pays you back.
The Blackhawks trying to get some excitement going, some sort of momentum. They give the North Stars a nervous third period. Steve Thomas with some good stick handling gets the shot away, beats Casey, but hits the crossbar and deflects out 30 feet away from the net.
The face-off to the left of Belfour. L.A. has scored first, 1-0. The Kings over the Flames. Los Angeles making a bid to become one of the few teams that has eliminated the defending Stanley Cup champion in consecutive years. Remember last year they knocked off Edmonton, and now they have Calgary on the ropes. Meanwhile, after Game 5 at Chicago Stadium, Minnesota coach Pierre Pagé less than enamored with his team's output in that one.
Well, I think in tomorrow's quotes, you could just change the name. Mike Keenan would probably steal the quote. Our guys probably thought Chicago was going to give them something, but no one is going to give them anything. They learned that tonight. The guys were just cocky, stupid, really. Keenan can use the same words tomorrow.
Pretty good chance of it, I think.
There'll be a few more deletions.
There might be some creative editing by the writers, I would imagine. Now here's Manson off the draw. His shot didn't get through Duchesne. Wilkinson bumped by Gilbert in the corner. He kicked it loose, but Duchesne is there, and now he gives it to Dahlen. Off Dahlen to Mike Modano, trying to center one. Duchesne with a bouncing puck, put it in front. Dahlen, he couldn't direct it into the net as Roenick covered him nicely, and now it's bounced loose to center ice. Now a scramble in front of the bench areas. Then Gilbert dug it loose on the near board. Greg Gilbert got it behind the goal. Sutter trying to stuff it in, hit the side of the net, and Casey then covers it up.
Sutter trying to get it up front quickly. It deflected into Casey and almost snuck between the pads. The North Stars with a good scoring chance. Duchesne to Dahlen. Dahlen just couldn't handle it with Roenick draped all over him. The North Stars aren't sitting back, that's for sure, with a 4-goal lead. North Stars did well this year with the lead, 31 wins. Only 4 times did they relinquish the lead after 2 periods.
There's the draw. Shot down the length of the ice by the North Stars. McGill has to hurry, and he got there in time to get the icing call as he and Sherla crashed together, but that's over now.
Well, those hits sound a lot worse than they actually are. The hits you have to worry about are away from the boards. Now Van Dorp is going to have a conversation with Sherla.
Talking going on out there. McRae, Sherla for Minnesota, McGill, Manson for Chicago, Van Dorp as well.
We're having a conversation about fusion.
You mean the confusion that the Blackhawks are in tonight? There's the draw. Manson at the near point has room, lets it go. Casey, nice save. That just hit him. He never saw that. Then Sutter bumps into Casey, and the goal came up off the moorings, and the whistle sounds.
Manson from the draw. just an inch or two above the ice. Casey just saw it the last second, kicked it away, and then Sutter pushed into Casey in the net. Another face-off now in the North Star zone. 13.5 minutes to go. Casey with a good save on the Manson shot through traffic.
Well, the Blackhawks the other night hit John Casey with 5 goals. They're one of their better outputs against him all year long, and he has rebounded tonight with a sterling performance.
And the officials are separating Churla and Van Dorp at the face-off. Good work. Van Dorp took a 5-minute penalty as Churla went into the turtle in the game in Chicago. And they were warned. They still went at it. And they continued to job back and forth at each other. A 5-1 hockey game and 13.5 minutes to go. Would you like to be birdie? Sitting
No, not really. I don't think I'd learn too much. Well, the face-off will be to the left of Casey. 10-minute misconducts. All right. I thought maybe it would just be minors for unsportsmanlike, but 10-minute misconducts to Van Dorp and Churla. Good call by referee Frazier. Here's the draw now behind the North Star net. Dug out of there by Berezan. Couldn't get it out, though. Here's Manson in the deep slot. And a center one winds up in the far corner. Berezan gave it away. Here's a quick shot and a save by Casey on Gilbert. And the rebound controlled by the North Stars. Here's McRae over the Hawk line. Got turned around. McGill took it away. And clears it away back into the Minnesota zone. It'll be icing against Chicago. There's a little problem as teams were changing players. Some gathering in front of the Hawk bench, but everybody is able to get on and off the ice properly without any incident.
And one guy that's really had an outstanding night has been referee Frazier. I think this is an excellent game. Excellent call on his part. Well, power play opportunity. The North Stars are 1 for 5. The Blackhawks are 0 for 4.
Calgary has scored. It's 1-1 now, the Flames and the Kings. And in Winnipeg tonight, what a win for the Edmonton Oilers.
They had a 3-0 lead. Jets battle back to tie it up, but Curry scores the winning goal. Second time in this series he scored a winning goal. One in overtime and one the most critical in Game 6.
So there will be a decisive 7th game in that series, as there will be in this series on Monday night. There's Keith Brown clearing it out to center ice. Troy Murray over the line had it taken away. Now Presley flips it deep. Taken by the North Stars, and a steal by Troy Murray at the line with a long shot. Oh, he just missed the near post with that. And the North Stars, Chambers, clears it to the Chicago line.
Well, that a rarity in itself. Troy Murray attempting a shot on goal. Only 4 shots in the first 5 games.
Well, I'm sure that part of that, we've touched on Troy's lack of offensive output earlier in this series, but I'm sure that part of that is the role that he's being asked to play. The Hawks with Savard, Creighton, and Roenick up the middle, and I would imagine that Troy Murray, while he would like to contribute more offensively, I would imagine that his main concern is keeping the puck out of his own net. He's been matched up against some of the better players for the North Stars, and has done fairly well defensively, but the offense has been lacking. The puck is frozen with 11.5 to go in the third. 5-1 mini. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
How do you get real premium beer taste in a non-alcoholic brew? you start with a real premium beer. That's how Anheuser-Busch makes new O'Doul's. O'Doul's is carefully brewed, fully fermented, and cold-aged. Then the alcohol is naturally removed, retaining all the great taste. So how do you get real premium beer taste in a non-alcoholic brew? Ask for an ice-cold O'Doul's. O'Doul's, the taste will win you over.
The law firm of Broten and Gavin has had a terrific night. They've shut down the Savard line and added some offense besides.
Yes, they have. Here's the draw to Trent Yanni. Got stopped at center ice, knocked down there, in fact, and it's dumped back into the Chicago zone. Dwayne Sutter. Now battles it to center ice. Got it to Creighton. Gave it to Gilbert over the line, leaving for Creighton on the near board. He's taken off the play. Gilbert works hard to dig it loose to Yanni. Here's the shot. Casey the save, and he gives no rebound. And here we go in front of the net, a little pushing and shoving again. We're going to have a lot of this in the second half of this third period, you can bet. And sticks elbows high, but no punches thrown as yet, and it looks like they'll be able to separate here.
Casey with a good save there. He didn't pick it up till it was on its way. Yanni just got it by Aaron Broten, who slid in front of him. And he still was able to make the save and leave no rebound, which is even better. Gilbert pulled down, still in the seat of his pants, backhands it over to Yanni. Yanni lets it go just past Broten, and Casey out of the net makes the body save. And after the whistle, pushing and shoving, and that's been pretty well the story of this series. One night one team dominates, the next night the other team returns the favor.
That's been the thing that's really surprised me about this series. You expect maybe a game or two that maybe somebody would get the better of it, but it's been more of a pattern than anything else in this series. There have been a couple of very closely contested games, but most of these first 6 games, it's been very one-sided. One team all over the other and unrelenting in their pressure. And I'm sure, well, as you mentioned tonight, and we both thought this would maybe be the best and closest game of the series, and are the North Stars ever proving us wrong?
It looked that way, though. With 17 minutes gone in the first period, it was 1-1, and it looked like it was going to be a great game. Minnesota won the first game. Well, the score wasn't the first period. The North Stars really took it to the Blackhawks. Casey was brilliant in the second and third period, especially in the second period. Game 2, the Hawks were down 3-0, rebounded. Game 4, it was scoreless for 50 minutes and 11 seconds. Game 4, Minnesota dominated. Game 5, Chicago dominated.
And Game 6, Minnesota dominates. Now cleared down into the Chicago zone. Keith Brown shot it back the other way. So we're halfway through the third period as the North Stars are ready to tie up this series at 3 games apiece. And Minnesota goals tonight from Sean Chambers, Perry Berezan, Neal Broten, Larry Murphy, and Dave Gagne. The Blackhawk score off the stick of Greg Gilbert. Now when they look back on this game, we've touched on it before, but I think you'll have to look to the last 3 minutes of the first period, and that told the tale. The Hawks had battled back to tie the game up at 1-1, and 2 late goals by the North Stars in the last 3 minutes of the first really seemed to send them on their way.
And even when it was 4-1 midway through the second period, some unnecessary penalties took some momentum away from them. A penalty to Van Dorp and a penalty to Manson, and the one on Van Dorp resulted in the 5th goal, a power play goal, and that was about it.
Dave Manson here in his own end. Oh, cleared it to center, and Goulet. 2-on-2. Goulet in over the line, crisscrossing, looking for Hudson. Couldn't get any wood on it as Dahlen tied him up. Hudson behind the net. Lost it to Dahlen. Now Hudson got it back, but his pass deflects, and here come the North Stars out. 4-on-3. Basil McRae in over the line. Center one, Dahlen right in, shoots. Belfour, rebound, and it's knocked away by Manson, as Dahlen might have had an open side, but Manson whacked it off his stick.
What a play by Basil McRae. A backhand pass right onto the money.
Now the Blackhawks work it out to center. McGill dumping it in. Taken by Tenorti. And he clears, not out, held in by Savard. And his pass is picked off. There'll be a Hawk penalty coming. Here's Gavin in over the 2-on-1, cutting in, centered it. Madonna, a shot, and a save by Belfour. But another Hawk penalty is on the way, and the North Stars head to the power play, looking to add to a 5-1 lead. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Look at me. I'm as helpless as a kitten on a string.
That one never stops.
Dennis Savard, too much lumber on Madonna, chasing him in the neutral zone. A slashing call at 11:33. The league has been clamping down on it all season long, and they continue to do it. Fraser puts the arm up, and then the North Stars continue on. Madonna gets a second attempt, and he shoots it right into the glove of Belfour. Well, the North Stars, with a 5-1 lead, have another power play chance. They have one power play goal. And I'm sure they'll just want to make sure there'll be a conservative effort here to make sure they don't get the Blackhawks a short-handed opportunity. And most of the time, the Blackhawks have had good chances while killing penalties, and they've had better chances killing penalties than they've had with their own power play.
Madonna, Barber, and Bellows up in front. Murphy and Neal Broten at the points as usual. Here's Murphy at the near point. Deep slot to Neal Broten. He put it across the Bellows, a one-timer, blocked by Conroyd. Behind the net is Barber. And Madonna in the near corner. Mike Madonna had problem with Keith Brown, who took it away to Gilbert. And he clears. There's Larry Murphy. Brian Bellows carries it into the Chicago end, put it into the deep slot, and Chambers, a spinorama move, gave it to Madonna on the near side. Pass to Murphy, quick shot to tip, rebound, saved by Belfour, and he covers it up. Don Barber redirected that initial shot, and Belfour made a dandy save and then stopped the rebound as well.
All we said about Belfour's style is unorthodox. He's down, able to make the first save, and then able to pounce on the puck as it squirted loose from under him. It looked like it might have been frozen, but North Stars on the power play. Murphy lets it go, deflected right on by Barber. Barber's in too close, can't put it over Belfour, and then Belfour with Bellows looking for a loose rebound. 7:41 remaining, a minute 14 to go in the slashing penalty. The NHL is on Sports Channel. Our next league game Sunday at 6:30 Central. The Hartford Civic Center will host the Hartford Whalers and the Boston Bruins. It's exclusively on Sports Channel. Check your local listings for games and times in your area.
Now Chambers near board to Gagne. Gagne draws Brown out to the blue line almost, but Brown able to deflect his pass, and here comes Presley, 1 against 2. Got turned around in the North Star zone. Chambers takes it away. But his pass deflects to center ice. Now corralled by Chambers in over the Hawk line. Gave it to Aaron Broten. Conroy poked it away. Here's a break for Larmer. He's in. Larmer in on Casey. The shot. He scores. Steve Larmer, a shorthanded goal, gives the Blackhawks a ray of hope as he broke in alone from center ice and bangs it by Casey to make it 5-2 Minnesota.
Well, Steve Larmer has continued to work no matter what the score in this entire game, and he, at the end of a long shift, is able to get the puck loose. They try to gang up on Gagne. Presley and Larmer both. Hacked at by Conroy up the middle, and Larmer a breakaway from his own side of the red line. Wilkinson tries to catch him, and then finally the shot through the legs of Casey and in. And it's a 5-2 North Star lead with 7 minutes to go. Stranger things have happened. There's still time for the Hawks to mount some sort of attack. Down now by 3.
Here's Thomas in over the line. Shoots one. Casey to save. Rebound. Creighton couldn't get to the bouncing puck. They announced Steve Thomas. That's wrong. It was Larmer from Conroy to 12:57. A shorthander for Chicago. Larmer's second goal of the series.
Well, they had their best chances tonight when they short.
Well, you called it, Kreskin, and by now we shouldn't be surprised. Here's Murphy dumping it in.
When you're down by 5-1, you can take some chances.
Now the Hawk penalty is over. Darn the luck. Here's Savard over the line, dropping for Roenick. Roenick for Savard behind the net. Knocked down there by Modano, who takes it away, but then gave it away. Savard back, feet center, quick shot, they score! Roenick picked it out of midair. Savard, having been knocked down once, got himself back into the play and fed Roenick. It's 5-3 in favor of the North Stars.
Hold on to your hats. You never know. When these teams get together, anything is possible. And the Hawks now come right back. That goal by Larmer gives them some momentum. Savard spins around, gets back up, flips it out front. Roenick, who's shown good hand-eye coordination. There's a game in Toronto in the regular season where he picked a couple out of midair. The pass by Savard, soft little dump pass, and Roenick makes them pay, and it's now 5-3. And still lots of time, 6 minutes and 3 seconds to go.
Third goal of the series for Jeremy Roenick. Savard and Thomas are given the assists on that Roenick goal at 13:57. Now the draw, steal by Larmer, centered one, didn't get through to Goulet. Now Larmer hacked it loose to Goulet, got it around to the far side. Aaron Broten able to flip it to center. Wilson goes down there. Neal Broten trying to race in. Roenick able to hook him and slow him down from behind without getting a penalty. Otherwise, Neal Broten might have had a breakaway. Now Wilson at center. His pass stolen by Gavin. Gavin over the Hawk line. Gave it to the trailing defenseman Siren, whose pass is picked off. And Yanni had it taken away by Bellows. Chopped it loose to Gagne, cutting in the shot. Belfour the save. Rebound Gagne, put it to the line. Murphy, his long shot. Belfour sticks that aside. And Larmer rolled it back to the North Star zone. 5 minutes left to go in the third period. 5-3 in favor of the North Star. As it's dumped into Chicago territory, Conroy jammed it loose to Brown. Now Presley on right wing, storming in on Giles. Dropped it for Savard. Here it comes. Casey the save. Rebound Barber. And the North Stars come the other way. Bellows crisscrossing over the Hawk line. And had to flip in, but the play was offside. With 4.5 left in the third, Minnesota 5, Chicago 3. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Are you ready to make your dollar go a long, long way? Play Millionaire. You could win $2 million. Are you ready to relish the finer things in life?
Thanks for ordering Dave's Dogs. Please drive up.
Play millionaire. You could win $2 million.
Well, the North Stars trying to hang on here to send this series back to Chicago Stadium.
The Hawks getting some life on a Steve Larmer shorthanded goal at 12:57. Then a minute later, chipped one in from Savard and Thomas.
There's Doug Wilson. Layering it into the neutral zone, then it's flipped up over the glass and into the crowd. Welcome to those of you on Sports Channel America just rejoining us, who've been watching the Calgary-LA game. That one tied at 1 here in the Met Center. A commanding 5-1 lead for Minnesota was chipped into by the Chicago penalty killing team. Well, the North Stars had a power play. Steve Larmer broke in alone from center ice on a shorthanded breakaway and scored at 12:57. Exactly 1 minute later, Dennis Savard, having been dumped, scraped himself off the ice and regained control of the puck to feed Roenick in front, and Jeremy Roenick's goal has cut the Minnesota advantage to a mere 2. So we're down to 4.5 minutes remaining in the third period. Now Adam Creighton in on Wilkinson, trying to walk around him. He did. He centered it. Oh, it was just behind Thomas, though. And cleared back to center. Now the race is on. Berzan has a breakaway in on Manson. Manson hauled him down. No penalty. Belfour makes the save, and the crowd will not like this.
Well, the Hawks having to take some chances, get caught. Manson hustles back, puts one hook into him, and pulls himself up to catch up to him, and then him again. Berzan, who might have turned the whole game around, kicking in the second goal of the game for the North Stars in the first period. Belfour makes the save, and the Blackhawks get away with one. But that might be bad news, because they've had their best scoring chances when they're shorthanded, and they scored a shorthanded goal. But Berzan trying to ice it, and Belfour dives to his left and robs Berzan of his second goal of the game.
Now the draw. Taken by Keith Brown. Clearing to center, a lead for Thomas, steps in over the line, left it for Savard, weaving into the slot, forgot the puck though, stolen by Tenorti, clearing to the neutral area. Keith Brown overskating it, now got it back, feeds Thomas on left wing at center. Thomas got turned around by Chambers, and back into the Hawk zone is Neal Broten, cutting for the net. Keith Brown, oh, the play was offside anyway. And Brown able to tie him up nonetheless. 3.5 to go in the third. 5-3 Minnesota. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
This isn't an ad for a car company. This is an ad for Zenith's 35-inch digital television with premium stereo and the incredible experience of Dolby surround sound. When you have a Zenith television like this, you want to hurry home. Zenith, quality.
With Dale Talon, Pat Foley back in the Met Center, where a sold-out crowd is anxiously hoping that clock can get going. 3.5 to go in the third. 5-3 in favor of the North Stars as Giles looks to clear, but Yanni keeps it in. Around the boards for Goulet. Tied up behind the net, jammed to loose to Roenick, the wraparound, and Casey just barely got to the near post in time.
Well, Yanni kept it in, put it along the boards. Goulet spun around, took advantage of his reach to get it by Giles. Presley picked it up. Giles did his best to come up. Presley turns and wraps it, and right into the pad and under the pad of Casey, who hustled to get from post to post.
Jeremy Roenick, who scored the third Hog goal to get them close in the game, nearly cashed in there again, and he remains on with Presley and Goulet. Now Gagne and Roenick draw to the North Stars. Murphy. Larry Murphy cleared it to Bellows, who chipped it to center ice. Hawks dump it back in there. Murphy lost it behind the net. Goulet trying to center it. Bounced away from Roenick in front, and the North Stars flip it back into the Chicago zone. Now it's center Troy Murray. Gave it to Trent Yanni, turning. Now a steal by Tenorti. Failed to get it in deep, though. Troy Murray. Got it to Conroy, shooting it in. On the far side, Troy Murray goes down in the corner, dug out of there to Chambers, and he pushes it back to the Chicago line. Now here's a fight. Bellows and Creighton right in front of the bench. Oh, and Creighton just slapped Gerard Gauthier, I believe. Gauthier trying to get between the would-be combatants, Bellows and Creighton. And it appeared to me that Adam Creighton, just in his desire to get through to Bellows, it looked like he gave a slap to Gerard Gauthier. And it'll be up to Gauthier what he tells Kerry Frazier here about what might happen. But with 2 minutes in the third, it's 5-3 Minnesota. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
For great personal service and low everyday prices, check the lineup at your neighborhood True Value hardware store, where you can choose this Green Thumb shovel or bow rake as the April True Value of the month. If you weren't born with a green thumb, now's the time to acquire one. This round point shovel and welded steel rake are made to last and last, and they're each just $6.99 in April, where you see the banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
With 2 minutes and 14 seconds to go, Bellows and Creighton got involved. And then as Creighton tried to get at Bellows, he swatted Gauthier in the side of the head. 2 and 10, they both collided in front of the benches. And
well, he really just pushed his arm away. With the benefit of a second look, you can see Creighton pushed the arm away from Gauthier. Way up here, it looked like he might have given him a slap, but that was not the case. And Creighton and Bellows are sent off.
Well, the Blackhawks, with some hope, made it 5-3 with 6:03 to go in the third period, but they were unable to get another one by Casey to make it a marvelous comeback. They were down 5-1. Larmer a shorthanded goal, and Roenick a minute later made it 5-3. But that's as excited as things have been here.
Well, right after that, Casey made another great save on the ensuing rush by Chicago. And they've had another chance or two since then, but the North Stars have been able to regroup. Now behind the Hawk goal, a scramble dug out by Aaron Broten to brother Neal behind the net. Works against Yanni. Now they still battle away. Finally came loose to Aaron Broten. A minute and a half to go. And it'll be held in the near corner. Welcome again to those of you who are watching LA Calgary. Pat Foley and Dale Talon in the Met Center, where a sold-out crowd begins the goodbye song here to the Blackhawks. With a minute and a half remaining in regulation time.
Now the line of Neal and Aaron Broten and Gavin continue their fine play, and they just killed off about 30 seconds with their excellent work in forechecking, something they've been able to do all night long. They've been able to shut down the Savard line and also add a goal. Neal Broten scored. Aaron Broten has assisted on a couple. Gavin has an assist. So the line has been out there to try and stop the offense of the Blackhawks has also contributed offense besides shutting down.
When you're put to the brink, you need great games from your best players, and Pierre Pagé, in the cases of the Broten boys in particular, has certainly gotten that. Gavin expected to be an excellent defensive player, and he's done that and more here tonight. Now here's Duchesne back of the Hawk net. Leaves it for Dahlin. Alf Dahlin content to work the boards. Now Duchesne dug it out. Again to Dahlin against Roenick. This doesn't bother the North Stars at all. It's in the Hawk zone. They bang the boards. The clock continues a run down, and we're into the final minute of play. Steve Conroy gave it to Brown, who had it taken away. Over the line, Dahlin cutting for the net, trying to center it, deflected right to the doorstep, and Brown saved a goal. Couldn't get it out, though. A long shot and a save by Four on Berezan. And Presley the other way. Got stopped at the North Star line. Back comes Tenorti into the Chicago zone. Mark Tenorti flipped it in behind the net with half a minute to go. Thomas leading Wilson. He fails to get it in deep. Now bouncing free into the Chicago zone. Belfour plays it to Larmer. 10 seconds to go. And we will have a 7th and deciding game in this series Monday night in Chicago Stadium. The clock runs out. We may have a problem in the far corner. Thomas agitated with a couple of the North Stars. Now Gavin and Manson have the sticks raised. The officials get them separated. Tenorti wanting to get at Manson, but Goulet restraining him. Tenorti and Manson still jawing, and Gerard Gauthier, great recognition there. He sensed the danger, and he has a good grip on Mark Tenorti.
Well, they're upset with Thomas for shooting the puck. Apparently the whistle blew, ruling it offside. I don't think anyone heard it. Casey made the save, and then they came at Thomas after.
The North Stars don't know whether to celebrate or battle with a few players that are still on the ice. And now the officials trying to get Chicago to get their players off the ice, and they are succeeding in doing that, and finally we can put this one to rest. The North Stars in 7 games against Chicago in this building beat them 6 times. And as a result of this victory, are up for grabs on Monday night in Chicago Stadium. In the third period here tonight, 13 Minnesota shots, 11 for Chicago, 43-30. The North Stars outshoot the Blackhawks for the total. 2 Blackhawk goals in the third to try to come back, but it wasn't enough. Steve Larmer scored the shorthander, his second of the series from Conroy at 12:57. Then 1 minute later, Savard with great work to scrape himself up off the ice after being dumped and fed it in front to Roenick, who scored his third of the series. Roenick from Savard and Thomas at 13:57. But the Hawks could get no closer. And the North Stars win the game 5-3. We'll wrap it up in a moment. Minnesota wins it tonight 5-3. Our Budweiser Blackhawk of the game. Our choice tonight, Greg Gilbert, and another inspired performance by the Blackhawk, a veteran of Stanley Cup play, mostly with the New York Islanders. He scored the first goal of the game for Chicago and was one of the better players for the Blackhawks tonight, but they just didn't have enough of them. I think both of us are a little bit surprised that the Hawks didn't show better than they did here in this 6th game.
Well, it's 1-1 with 17 minutes gone in the game, and it looked like it was going to be a pretty good performance by both teams. And 2 late goals and then an early goal to start the second period gave the North Stars the momentum, and then a 5th goal on the power play. And then the North Stars protected the lead, had a lot of scoring chances, had a lot of shots on goal. Blackhawks made it exciting with 2 quick goals in the middle part of the third, but overall another good performance by the North Stars and a subpar performance by the Blackhawks. A lot of passengers again.
Now it goes to a 7th and deciding game. This is hardly what Chicago wanted, but most often when they've had a chance to make things easy on themselves, they've just been unable or unwilling, whatever, to do that. And now anything can happen. And the last 3 games of this series that have been played, one team has dominated. I don't think that's going to happen on Monday night.
Well, let's hope this stays true as far as the Blackhawks are concerned. They dominated Game 5 at home, came out of the gate flying, and had a great first period. But I expect this to be a nervous type game, a nail-biting type situation that might go down to a last shot, an overtime type situation. That's not what you want to have happen as a team that's the favorite going into the playoff series. But that's the way it's going to be. That's the way it has to be. They better be prepared because it's going to be an exciting finish.
Monday night, it's all or nothing. One of these teams will go on and the other will go home. We'll have a 7:20 radio pregame and Monday night for Game 7, and we'll hit the air at 7:30 on some of these sports channel stations. For Neal Talent, Pat Foley, hoping you enjoyed it. The final tonight, Minnesota stays alive. They beat the Hawks 5-3.